Namaste. So in the early 80s, I got involved with an organization called Mahikari. One of the most amazing things. Of course, I've talked about this before, but like lots of things, sometimes in your spiritual pursuits, as you get older and older, and I've been on this path over 50 years, and lots of the spiritual truths that I've experienced and experiences I've gone through have made me say, this is it, this is the one, this is the best, this is all I'll be doing for the rest of my life. I've said it about so many things. And it was true at the time, of course. At the time, this was the best thing for me. That's why it came into my vista. That's why it came into my path, because this was the right time for me to experience this. I've said before, when I was 23, I was in the Merchant Navy. I spent ages, years trying to focus on Kabbalah. Couldn't get my head around it at all. For 20 years later, when I was 43, everything opened up. Even a teacher appeared for me. I didn't even have to really look. They came towards me. Everything and all the books just popped out the bookshelves towards me at the same time. And this is how our path is when we're on a spiritual journey, when we're light workers, when we're way showers, when we're star seeds. This is what our lives are like. And in the 80s, I've always been a healer. I've done lots of healing modalities my whole life since I was very young. And yeah, you name it, I've been there really. And in the mid-80s, I came across Mahikari, which was a spiritual organization, Japanese, of course, which I loved. I've always loved everything Japanese. I've had many lifetimes, several at least as a samurai. And I was really attracted to the whole thing, the ceremony, the bowing, the clapping, the light, which is radiated like this, and very, very powerful light. I'm not going to go into detail here. I'm no longer with that organization. They did have a way to get people to be able to practice and be able to perform the sending of light through their healing, which is another story altogether. Anyway, a long time ago, I stopped doing that. I did do several courses, several levels, actually. I got to the intermediate level and enjoyed it thoroughly while I was doing it. And then the time came for me to move on to my next journey, even though, like I say at the time, this is it, this is the bee's knees. I feel invulnerable, indestructible. Everything was opening up for me. And Mahikari talked a lot about several things that we are aware of today. Don't forget, this is nearly over 40 years ago. They talked a lot about baptism of fire and spirit, which is what we've been going through of late, and what we are going through, of course, now, as we are ascending. Their teachings, which were given to their leader, who had already passed by the time I was involved, but they kept the organization. It was a pyramidal thing, really, person at the top, people underneath. And they kept the whole structure in place, going along with these teachings. And even today, I cannot fault any of these teachings. It was their way of explaining the truths as they, in their culture, in their religious understanding, had to explain these truths that are happening to all of us. And it makes so much sense when you understand that each part of the world, the people are different because of the place they live, because of the way they live, because of the hierarchical structures or not that they have. And so they all need different types of spirituality to be told to them to help them in their understanding. Anyway, as usual, I'm digressing, which I do a lot because it's all from the top of my head. So I do digress. So they talked about baptism of fire and spirit. They talked about the sun gods and the moon gods. The sun gods were taking over. They were coming out from where they've been hiding, where they've been locked away. And they were back, just like the Vorlons in Babylon 5. They were back, and they were coming out into the open and taking over again from the dark ones. They were known as the what we call the moon gods, or what they call the moon gods. Anyway, the other thing they really went to town on is part of the baptism of fire and spirit, of receiving this light and transmitting the light, was purification. Now, until I got involved with this organization, I didn't really carry a hanky unless I had a cold. I didn't really have tissues in my pocket. Since then, I've always had tissues in my pocket. In those days, I was in my 30s. In those days, because of the cleansing constantly from receiving the light and from transmitting the light, those that are healers know when you transmit, you're also receiving the light. And because of that, you're constantly purifying your bodies. Not just the physical, although constantly I'd be blowing snot and having various things coming up and out of your body. Nothing too extreme, but nevertheless constant. Saying that, during those days, I never had a cold. I never got ill. Nothing really affected me because I was constantly cleansing. For those that aren't aware, our body is a miracle creation in that it heals itself without us interfering, usually. To give you examples, when you have a fever, it's not such a bad thing that you should be taking drugs. Sometimes they're needed, so always ask a doctor's advice. But generally, the fever is to burn off the impurities, the toxins that are causing you to be sick. Sweating profusely is a way of getting out of your body the toxins, the poisons that, if left inside, will or may go to an organ in your body, causing it to cause big problems in that organ. When we sweat and when the lymph glands are moving and circulating the lymph, it's all making us well. The problem we have is blockages. But that's another story. One day I'm going to do videos about all these other stories I talk about, but not today. So the purification is what's happening now. It's been happening since then and before then. But now we still need to get to grips with the understanding that when our sun is flaring and giving off these solar flares and solar winds and solar energy and plasma and whatever else is coming towards us, it's purifying us. It's making us lighter so that we rise up and ascend. See that? That's good, isn't it? And that's what it's about. Our ascension. We are ascending. And the way we're doing it is we're burning off the old dross, burning off the old rubbish. Now, the main reason I'm doing this video today is because I've got friends and myself and others who are going through a lot of these purifications. And since I started this present work I'm doing now, since 2016, I've been talking to people about letting go of the old stuff, letting go of the dross, purifying ourselves, getting cleaner and cleansing our bodies of the old toxins. And we've been doing this, and I thought it would be all over years ago, but we're still doing it because we are being risen to such a great height. We can only do that when we're not being pulled down by the weight of the toxins. We're talking really about spiritual toxins, not physical toxins. Of course, everything is linked. The spiritual and physical, emotional are all linked. So they're all part of the oneness, the one thing that is the toxins. And we need to let go of these toxins so that we can become lighter to enable us to ascend. See that? And because of this, some of us now are going through hell. Some of us now, not me, thankfully, at this moment in time, or my loved one, thankfully, but others are definitely going through different variations of hell or different variations of pain or suffering. Now, I would never tell anyone, don't go to the doctor, this is what's happening. Always, if you feel like you need to, always ask for a practitioner to check out what's happening. No matter, even if it's what I'm saying is happening to you, you may need help from someone who's medically able to give you advice or medicines that you need. Personally, for myself, I do need to go to the doctors occasionally. I do practice other means of alternative healings. I do go to alternative practitioners. I do receive healing from my wife and others, my dear friend Robert, one of the greatest healers I've met. Great Reiki master. And my other friend Robert, another great Reiki master. There's lots of these people out there now, thankfully, who can help, especially if these events that we're having are caused from nothing to do with our physical self, but they're affecting our physical self. Doesn't matter how much you're aware of this, pain is pain. And it's not easy to get by when you're in pain. It's not easy to say, yeah, it's fine when you're in a lot of pain. You can have confidence in the fact that it's spiritual cleansing. It does help. It doesn't stop the pain, or it doesn't usually stop the pain. But by your understanding and letting go of anything else, it can help you in dealing with the pain and healing yourself. All healing that you, I, anyone receives enables us to heal ourselves, enables this incredible being we call us to heal ourselves. So I hope this helps those who are going through these things at this moment. And if you have any questions, leave a comment and I'll always try and get back to you as soon as possible and see if we can help in any way that we can. I have a busy week this week, so it might take a while to get back, but I will always come back to you. Keep up the good work. Stay positive. Don't let the thingies grind you down. Stay strong. And remember, we're all moving onwards and upwards. Continue on this fabulous journey. Stay in your heart. Stay in your joy as much as possible. Doing things, providing they don't hurt others, doing things that make you joyful is really important these days. Namaste. Till next time. Thank you for listening.